So Jeff, could you tell us in really simple terms, what is a storm surge?
Yeah, what happens when a tropical cyclone moves over the ocean, out at sea it hasn't had a great effect, but the pressure, the low pressure actually raises the elevation of the sea, particularly when it comes towards the land. But that's not a really big effect. You'd need 100 hectopascal drop, so you need a centre for a cyclone about 9, 10 to get about a metre. But by far the greatest effect is the winds blowing onshore, virtually, literally raise the level of the ocean as it comes ashore, and
just pushing that water.
Yeah, pushes the water. That's the best, simplest way to think about it. Yeah, and for instance, with Yasi, the tide gauge at Cardwell was 5.4 metres above what it normally would have been without Yasi. So they can have some tremendous effects, and the biggest loss of life in tropical cyclones is associated with
the storm surges.
Yeah, storm surges.
Yeah. What about the predictability? Like, I hear that there's a lot of difference between what the BOM predicts and then what it turns out to be. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty.
I guess the biggest variable would be the tide. You know, if you can get a cyclone come ashore at a low tide, its effect is minimal. Yeah. Unless it's a huge surge. But and the timing, that's where the error can be. You can only be, if you're 3 hours out, you know, you might have a pretty big difference between low to mid tide and up near high tide.
And that just amplifies and adds to
so
natural tide.
I guess that's the biggest error. The effect of waves inside the barrier reef is a bit complex. We don't have enough data to fully understand. So unravelling what's storm surge and what's actually caused by wind waves associated with the cyclones tricky. It's not so bad down here, but down here we'd have, that's down in the Gold Coast, we'd have more effect from waves and from the actual storm surge, because the storm surge is much more amplified when the bottom slopes gradually, whereas off our coast down here the sloping is fairly abrupt, so that we're affected.
So again, relating to the tides, where you can have really big waves and really high tidal ranges depending on the gradient.
Yeah. And we'd have more effect from what we call wave setup and wave run up. Yep. And in fact,
what's the difference between those two?
Wave setup raises the actual level of the ocean near the shore just by the integrated effect of many waves, where wave run up is the individual waves running up.
Oh, okay.
So just a difference. But anyway, and it's pretty hard to unravel most of the time anyway. Just the waves actually add an enormous amount of inundation. Particularly on the Gold and Sunshine Coast, to the storm surge.